Welcome to Impacting America, one region, one church at a time, hosted by the Intercultural Institute for Contextual Ministry. I'm Bobby Gilstrap, and I'm your host for today's overview and information session from IICM. IICM is a leading evangelical think tank dedicated to applying missiological principles for communicating the gospel. IICM has served over 20,000 faith-based organizations, including churches, denominational groups, mission agencies, and parachurch organizations in North America and beyond. As we begin today's session, I want to show you this picture of a family. If we want to reach this family, we can learn several things from this photograph. We see it's a family of 7, mom and dad, 3 girls, 2 boys, fairly well dressed, and some ethnic background, so it appears. But now look at this photograph. It's clearer. It's the same picture, but it's a much higher resolution. Mom, we now see that she has some beautiful earrings and a necklace on. Her hand is there on her daughter's shoulder. Dad is wearing a striped tie, and we can even count the buttons on his vest. And look, we can clearly see the patterns on the girls' dresses and the checks on the oldest boy's shirt. But now look at the 2 pictures, the 2 photographs side by side. If we're trying to reach this family, there's a difference in the 2 photographs and the clarity. It's what we call a difference between demographics and geographics, normal versus high definition. The photograph on the right of this family is in high detail. See, demographics can hide as much as they reveal. We want to provide through geodemographics actionable data for evangelism, church planting, and developing missional communities through local churches. We're going to do that by showing you some of the information that is available for missional leaders. One of the ways we deliver that information is through a website. It's called an Impact website, and we're going to use Impact Tulsa as one of those websites. This is the first association in the country to develop such a website with IICM. And in the next few minutes, I want to do a slide cast, an overview of the geodemographics for the Tulsa area to just expose you to exactly what's involved in helping to see clearly the kinds of people that are there and how we can potentially reach them. All the information is also available in individual reports that can be received on various areas. Now, to make it simple, we're going to simply do this. We're going to look at the highlight of the links at the top of every page, and every page will have this link up in the top right corner, and we can bounce around throughout the site that way, but we're just going to kind of walk through the majority of the site using these links. So let's start with going to Begin the Journey. Now, Begin the Journey takes us to an About Us page, and here we see the picture of Dr. Charlie Cruz, who's the Director of Missions there for the Tulsa Metro Baptist Network. On this page, he gives a brief greeting, a welcome to the website, and gives an overview of kind of what the viewers will find as they explore the website. Now let's move beyond that and click on Our Area. Now, Our Area is what we want to look at to get a better understanding of the cultural and religious heritage of the area that we're studying. Now, we're updating this page on the Tulsa site with our Evangelscape data, and so there's still some information to be loaded here, but this is what's going to be here and be fairly extensive once it's uploaded. We're going to have 4 basic categories of information, including some maps and tables that you'll be able to search and look at. But first, unreached population estimate. These are those who have no connection at all to any type of evangelical church or claim to be an evangelical believer. Those that are religious but not evangelical estimate. Those that are active evangelical, they're in that area. So that would include all who are involved in an evangelical church, the actual attendance in all of those churches. And because this is a Southern Baptist Association, we've added the Southern Baptist attendance estimate. And this will show where the Southern Baptist members of the churches actually live. Not necessarily the church they go to, but where they live in various communities. And that will be broken out with maps and other information as well. Now let's click on the Communities link at the top of the page. all of us live and minister in one of 6 types of communities. Now we see here the 6 types of communities. They're upscale communities, mainstay communities, working, country, aspiring, and urban communities. We can click on any of these 6 community types. The image is there, and it will open up resource information, all kinds of data, different links, that kind of thing on each community type. So let's explore just one of them. We don't have time to explore all 6, but let's explore one of them. Why don't we pick the working communities? Let's click on working communities. These would be working class families in basically blue-collar neighborhoods. And when we do, it opens up a page on working communities. There are all kinds of links to explore at the top, several dozen there that can be seen on the top and on the right-hand side for working resources. But we also see a panel there in the bottom right-hand or bottom left-hand corner of cultural values. And here, this is a brief paragraph on the cultural values, and another paragraph will rotate around on practices and spiritual issues and other things that are unique to working class families in this particular area. There are numerous links and other resources that can be found, but this is very helpful because every working class area has very unique characteristics, and so this will help you to better understand that. Now, if we scroll down the page, we come to a map on working communities, and the area here is highlighted, and each of the highlighted areas are places where there are working communities. And so that helps us to have a good view, a good vision of where those working communities are throughout the Tulsa metro area. Now we can click on any one of those boxes or areas that are highlighted, and we'll get a pop-up. And that pop-up in that area helps us to see a little bit more about that particular area. It identifies the community type, obviously, but also gives us some population, the number of households and that kind of thing in this simple pop-up for this area. When we scroll to the bottom, there's a table there. Now, all of the information that you see in the pop-up and that's in all of those different areas is found on this table. Now, let me explain a little bit more about the table. We have dozens and dozens and dozens of tables that are all throughout the website with various maps and different types of data. So let me just kind of explain it a little bit more completely this time. Then as we get to the other tables, I won't explain it quite as much because you'll have a good understanding of that. But the table here is totally sortable, searchable, and filterable. So you can sort, search, and filter it using the ID there on the top left corner of the table by the county, the entity or type, the area name, the population, the number of households, the community type. Many of the tables are much wider than the screen, so you can scroll right to left and find a number of other different categories, particularly in some of the areas where we're looking at different ethnicities and places, foreign born, where they were born, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of data there. But you can literally sort, search, and filter all of that information, and you can even put in more than one filter. Now here we've put in the one filter of Southeastern, so we've sorted according to that area name, but we could actually go in and sort those in the Southeastern area by population size, by the county size, or the county name, number in households. I mean, there are lots of ways we could sort it and filter it in multiple ways. Now, let's scroll down a little bit further on the page. And here we find working community cultural resources. These are some of the best resources that are available, both from secular publishers and from religious publishers, that are great to have access to be able to look at, to read, to understand better how to reach this community and understand the psyche, the background, the makeup of this type of community. So this resource page will be very, very valuable. All right, next, let's click at the top on cultures. Here we see ministry in 6 types of cultures. Each type of cultural group is unique, and we see black culture, Hispanic culture neighborhoods, white, Asian, Native, and Islander. Each of these are unique neighborhoods and unique cultures. Now again, each of these you can click on the image and it'll break out, but let's just take one. Why don't we pick the Hispanic cultural neighborhoods? These are Hispanic and Latino Americans and immigrants and refugees and internationals of Hispanic and Latino descent. As we do that, it breaks out a page for us where we see the Hispanic cultural neighborhoods. Now you'll notice also there's a place on several of these pages where you'll see foreign born, a Hispanic foreign born, and the others as well at that point. It gives you a background on different locations where they were actually born. But on this page you'll find 27 links to cross-reference 6 different community types among Hispanics. Now these are the community types we just referenced a while ago, but this is just among Hispanics. So we can look at Hispanics in upscale communities, or mainstay, working, country, aspiring, or urban. So let's take just a minute and look at just one of those. Why don't we look at Hispanic aspiring neighborhoods? These would be young singles, elderly folks that are renters living in mostly multi-housing areas. So as we do that, it brings us to the page on ministering in Hispanic aspiring neighborhoods. Here we find 4 types of aspiring neighborhoods. The 4 images that are here on the page help us to see that. These are all unique to reaching Hispanics, so these are great resources that are customized really just to reaching Hispanics that are in aspiring neighborhoods. Now as we scroll down the page again, we find a map, and here we find aspiring neighborhood areas are all highlighted. Now again, we can click on any one of those highlighted areas and we get a pop-up, and notice on the pop-up it's a bit more extensive than the other. We find the total households are 92, median age is 20.9. This is all Hispanic only information. It's not a mix of everything else. So on this we can see owners and renters and multifamily housing, all that kind of thing, median income, lots of different data that we find there. Now we scroll below the map, and again we find a table. This is a table that is a aspiring location selector, and again we can sort and search and filter all of the information to try to narrow down exactly what we're looking for, if we're looking for a specific area for starting a church, or a specific area for an outreach ministry, or something of that sort as we do that. Now back to our index. Let's go back up there and we'll click on internationals. And as we click on internationals, this brings us to a page on ministry among the 6 origins of internationals. 6 places where we find people have come to the United States. First, we see ministering among black internationals and refugees. Secondly, Hispanic, European, West Asian, Central Asian, and East Asian internationals and refugees. Let's pick one of those to look at. Why don't we look at the black internationals and refugees? And these we find, as we look down at the map, we see black foreign-born areas. So the map highlights for us all of those areas where we have black internationals and refugees, places that we could potentially minister. Also, if we look at that and we click on any one of those, we'll get a pop-up. And again, we have fairly extensive information just on that particular area: total population, total households, then where they were born. In fact, you'll note, if you look closely there, there were 27 who were born in East Africa, but there were none born in Ethiopia in this particular area, although other areas of Tulsa have those born in Ethiopia, and so forth. So you can look at that pop-up and see some of that. Scroll down a little further and you'll find the location selector, again that table, which again can be sorted and can be filtered and find exactly what you're looking for that particular group. Again, scroll to the very bottom and you'll find black ministry resources. Again, both secular and ministry resources that will be very helpful for being able to reach out to be able to help start new ministries, or be able to plant new churches or develop ministries among those who are black internationals and refugees that may have come to this country. All right, back to the top again. Let's click on spaces. Spaces. This takes us to ministry in 6 types of living spaces: multifamily housing, student housing, military housing, correctional facilities, medical facilities, and single family housing. Each of these are critical areas where people live. So let's take multifamily housing. This is a place, obviously a multifamily ministry could take place among individuals and families who are living in mostly condos or apartments, that kind of multifamily housing. Now, when we do that, we click on that and we find multifamily in terms of the 6 community types again. So multifamily in upscale, mainstay, working, country, aspiring, and urban. So let's explore one of those. Let's take multi-housing. Why don't we look at country? These would be places where we could minister among multifamily who live in rural living areas in multi-housing or multifamily units. Again, we have a map. And that map highlights those multifamilies who live in country spaces. And that gives us an idea of all the different places where they are and where they're gathered. Click on the pop-up, and again we have population, number of households. We have a breakdown of the various ethnic groups and more that live in this particular area of the multifamily in country spaces. Now, as we scroll down some more, we come again to a table with all of that data on country multifamily spaces. Again, we can sort, search, and filter all this information. All right, back to the top, let's click on venues. Venues, this is the area that is brand new to the site, and we are just now starting to populate this information. So these are 6 key types of missional venues where people can start developing relationships, building relationships, having things like chapel services and other things where they can be ministering, being a Christ incarnate, basically, to people in their community. So 6 areas we've highlighted here: truck stops, fire departments, bars and grills, health clubs, skateboard parks, and golf courses. And there's lots of local information on all of these that will be uploaded here, and ways to get involved in these various types of venues. Now let's click again on congregations. Congregations in the 6 communities, we find each of the 6 community types. Once again, we can click on any image to see a map of the association's churches in that particular type of community. But I'm going to do this just for time. Why don't I go ahead and click on the congregations map? Now this shows all of the Tulsa congregations all together on one map. All of the churches are shown here. Various colors, though, represent the different churches in different kinds of communities. Now when we click on any one of those little thumbtacks, it'll give us a pop-up. And on that pop-up, it'll tell us what area of the region it's in, as they have, Tulsa has divided the Tulsa metro area into various regions. So it'll give you the area name is Western. It'll tell you these are Mainstay. The one I've popped up here is Mainstay community. So that congregation is located in Mainstay. Gives you the address, name of the church, that kind of thing as well. If we scroll down, we find a table again, and this helps us to be able to sort and select again. We can search and sort and filter, and this is great, a great tool, because leaders and pastors and others can literally sort and see all the other churches or pastors who are serving in similar settings as what they're in. A great way to help start developing professional networks and other kinds of things for relationships in your area. Now then, let's go back and look at mission sites. This is the site area, and mission sites, this is an area that's being updated with our new version and our Evangelscape information. But mission sites are those top unreached locations. Now, since we don't have the Tulsa site ready, I want to show you what this looks like from version 1. Now, I live around the Detroit area in Detroit, Michigan. So here, let's look at what the Detroit, Michigan area looked like. These are all locations where there's a very high unreached population. High unchurched, but low evangelical presence. So these are critical areas, as you see those different types of thumbtacks there. These are different areas where an outreach ministry could be begun through a church, or a new church plant is prime for this particular area. Now you can click on any one of those and get a pop-up. And on that pop-up, you'll notice here, you can see a people profile, and you'll see the top community types that are there as well, just on the pop-up. But in the lower right-hand corner of that pop-up, you'll notice that there's a place you can click. And it says you can open up a Mission Site Digest PDF. Let's click there and look what it does. It opens up for us this 4-page Mission Site Digest. Now it's like a bulletin, so it's a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that can be folded in the middle. So we're looking here at the outside, the front and the back page, and you'll notice on that front page on the right, a location summary. Top left, you'll see location composition, and then cultural bridges are all listed there. And then on the inside pages, notice the things we find there. The top left, top community types and a description of that. Top lifestyle segments on the top right and descriptions of that. Bottom left, you'll see from our Evangelscape the spiritual indicators, and then on the bottom right hand side from our Churchscape data, the religious indicators. And this gives us great input on places where we can start churches or need outreach ministries or things of that sort. Now this particular piece comes in a PDF, so it can be literally printed out, folded, inserted into a bulletin, given out at a meeting, given to an entire church, given to a strategy planning meeting, whatever it is, to give a great overview of this particular area. Now, Let's go back to the top and let's click on training. When we click on training, we see 2 courses that are listed at our missional university. These are both classes that are presently being offered. And if we look closer, we'll see that missionaluniversity.org is basically an online training of missional leaders. So we offer a number of things, and there are many classes that can be offered basically on demand through the missional university. There's also a certificate in missional practice that is there as well. Now, if we go to the top taskbar, we can click on 10-2 training, and that takes us to the 10-2 training website, which contains hundreds of resources for training community missionaries, training them to impact lostness in a variety of places among all kinds of people. If we go to the top of that page, we can click on workshops, and that'll break out over 200 different types of workshops that are available. Incredible number of workshops already developed that meet a variety of needs in the field. And these are workshops that can be done on site in your location, or possibly some of them can be done online with groups gathering online, and they can be done through the missional university potentially as well. Now, let's go back to the main Tulsa, Impact Tulsa site, and let's click on Team. As we look at Impact Tulsa team, here we find 4 individuals that are on their team already. Jeremy is working with the Skate Church Network. Mike is working with the Mobile Missions Network. Betsy is working with Literacy Missions, and Matt is doing the Impact New England Partnership. And there are other leaders that are being recruited to work with them as well. If we scroll down that page a little bit more, we see other leadership for the Tulsa Metro Baptist Network. See the associational staff, Brother Charlie Cruz there, and their 2 assistants. And then you see their 8 team leaders that are listed below with their photographs and the areas in which they serve. Well, that wraps up this brief overview of our Impact Tulsa website. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please contact us. We're here to help you develop congregations through research and training for missionaries in all communities, cultures, spaces, and venues.